some people it smells like money, some people it smells like bad smell.
Yep.
But
Yep.
what we've been left with over the winter, particularly down on 238, is the plastic
Yep.
and the plants that are left.
Yep.
And it's so unsightly. That's
Yep.
a big disappointment.
I don't think so. I was talking with a colleague, and said, I could probably drive around and look at several people's front lawns that have nothing to do with hemp and be like, unsightly, unsightly. And unfortunately, that's not what we get to do like in the country. There are regulations that you cannot pollute waters of the state. That if there is plastic material, if there is soil that is washing off of your field into open water, that is something that's regulated by the Department of Agriculture. If there's something that is like actually a health risk, if you were had plastic barrels that were stagnant and breeding mosquitoes, that they could come and check that. But just for like nuisance trash, I don't know that there is regulation around that. And I guess I'm certainly concerned that more of the plastic didn't get cleaned up last year. That I expect that as the longer that material is out, like getting UV rays and hot and cold, it's going to start getting brittle and be harder to pull back out of the fields. But that is, I don't think that's something that's regulated. It should fall under good practice, but. Let me go to the back there, a woman in blue, please.
Do you have any idea how much of the revenue stayed in the Rogue Valley from last year's crops?
No, but that's a really good question. I know that there were a range of folks who came from outside of the state to grow hemp. There's some like sort of agricultural businesses that are based here. I know that the Grange Co-op had a really good year last year. But the fraction of that, I don't know the answer to. Yes, please.
Could you make a comment about the spray that was used for the white flies or white moths? Because that's what most of us became allergic to.
Yeah, so I can't comment on exactly what was being sprayed. That normally pesticides are evaluated both by the EPA at the federal level, Environmental Protection Agency, as well as state departments of agriculture, here the ODA. And since hemp is still like federally dubious, there are not any EPA certified pesticides that can be used on it. And so what Oregon Department of Agriculture did was to develop a list of materials that could be used which are not prohibited. They're not allowed, but they're not prohibited. But that list mirrors pretty well the list of things that you'd be allowed to use in certified organic production. So these are still insecticides. They are toxic materials. They wouldn't kill bugs if they weren't toxic, but are generally much less toxic than what could be used in a vineyard or an orchard. A lot of what was being sprayed was a material called BT, Bacillus thuringiensis, which some of you who are gardeners may be familiar with. It's insecticide that's like naturally derived. Another trade name was called Grandivo, is another like a soil microbe. They have like harnessed and bred, and it produces insecticidal has insecticidal qualities. But there's a pretty long list of materials that can be used. They are like relatively natural. They're available through the ODA on this permissible list of materials. But I don't know exactly what people were spraying. There was some helicopters flying around, people spraying with backpacks, and what exactly they were spraying, that ends up being sort of proprietary business information, which is sort of hard to hunt down exactly. One more question? There in the back, the black shirt, sorry.
I'm just kind of curious, you know, when we first started hearing about hemp, it was exciting because I was looking at it, thinking of it more as the fiber and how it was going to create an industry for building, fabric, all the other things. And then, of course, everybody went into it for the oils. Is there any interest that you see in it being a more of an expanded industry other than just the CBD oil?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes. That I guess I expect as I see that graph skyrocketing last year, basically all of that throughout Oregon was either CBD hemp or seeds for next year's CBD hemp. I expect we're going to see that bubble level off in the next couple years and have some diminution of acres grown solely for CBD. But I do think hemp is here to stay. And it does have this myriad of other sort of beneficial uses. The challenge for fiber is that there needs to be specialized processing facilities for that. And so it takes somebody investing in a processing facility, and if they're going to do that, they need to have enough acres of hemp coming to that to make their factory profitable to make fiber out of that hemp. So I think we'll see that coming. Right now, I do think we're in the gold rush glut of the beginning of it, and I think we'll see that settle out to a more sort of normal situation, and then we'll pick up those additional uses.
Dr. Jones, I have a question for you.
Yes.
I want to respect your time very much, but are you in time constraints in terms of when you need to get out of this room?
Not tremendously.
I
I would like to not be here all day, but I'd be happy to
everyone feels that way. But we have lots of people who
Yep.
still have questions, and yet there are some people who put on their calendars this meeting ends at 11, and we've got a little business to do.
Yep.
If it works for you, maybe you could linger for about 10 minutes while we go through our business, and anyone after that who wants to go, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Can go.
Yep.
But maybe you could stay around and take maybe just a few more questions, because I still see a couple of hands up. So if that works, I really appreciate it. Before.